What's up, guys? This is James here in Marrakech, Morocco, and I just went on a 3-day tour to Merzouga, which is the desert. It's like the Sahara desert. Um, I just got back last night, and in this video, I'm gonna tell you about my experience. So, on the first day, I woke up early in the morning, and somebody came to my hotel to pick me up. I think it was around 7:20 a.m. or something, and then he brought me to the main bus that we were getting on. It was more like a van actually, and in the early morning we were just picking people up until our van was full. I think we had like 12 people or something, and then we set out on the journey. Breakfast was not included on the first day. I remember we drove up into the Atlas Mountains first at a scenic viewpoint, and we all used the bathroom. Uh, I think you had to pay like 1 or 2 dirhams to use the bathroom, and it was kind of like a souvenir shop slash restaurant. But we didn't stop there for lunch, but it was kind of cool to take pictures of the mountains. The Atlas Mountains are pretty damn cool actually, cause it has like many different colors. Like some parts are red, some parts are gray, some parts are black, and it's really scenic. It's also scenic when you drive on the way back. I don't know. I felt like the drive on the way back was even better. I think yeah, on the first day we also stopped by the place where they shot the movies Gladiator and Game of Thrones, and a bunch of other movies too. They were shot in like Uzazarte or something, and I think they called it Atlas Studios. So that was pretty cool. You could see like the buildings that were in Gladiator and stuff. And they said they were starting to film Gladiator 2, and they were gonna start filming that at some point. And they had actually like put like something in the ground to mark the place where they were gonna film it, something like that. So stay tuned for Gladiator 2. And then it was mostly you're in the bus most of the day. Well, the van. And I remember at night we stopped by this city, I believe called Tinger or something, and we ended up in some hotel. And it was like an okay hotel. Somebody told me their shower head fell off or something, but there was hot water. For me, the one complaint that I have is that I had like a balcony with the door, and I couldn't lock that balcony door, so I felt like somebody could have just climbed up and entered my room or something. But nothing happened. Nobody stole my stuff. But yeah, we had dinner there. Oh, I forgot to mention. For lunch, we stopped by some restaurant, and it was like 110 dirhams or something for like you get like an appetizer, an entree, and like a dessert, and it was like 110 dirhams, which is kind of expensive. So I'm on a budget. So what I did was I left the group, and I saw a restaurant nearby, and I got something for 35 dirhams. Like I got like a sandwich and fries, um, which is within my budget. 110 is a little too much for me, but for each day of the trip, like every lunch place they take you is gonna cost about 100 dirhams, and it's gonna be the same. Like, an appetizer you could get like a soup or something, and then for the entree, usually it's like a tagine or couscous or kebabs, and for dessert they will give you like some fruit or some pastries or something. Uh, on the second day, we drove out again. I remember we took a lot of pictures along the way of like scenic routes. We ended up in some like valley between two mountains, and it was like super cold there. Like I think that was the coldest part of the trip, was like in this valley, and the wind was blowing at you, and at that point I wish I brought more clothes, because I just brought like two sweaters, this hat, my scarf, and this jacket, but I wish I had like maybe like one more jacket. I wish I had like two pants on, and maybe some gloves would have been nice. So I was not prepared, and I think most of the people on this trip were not prepared actually. Everybody was complaining about the cold. We all wish we brought gloves. Um, some people were smart and, like along the way, like this one Filipino dude, he bought like a jalaba, which is kind of like some like Moroccan woolen clothing that there's like a hood and it goes down below your knees. So he bought that along the way for 300 dirhams. I think when you buy stuff along the way, it might be a little more expensive than in the city because it's like a tourist trap in a way. Anyway, also on the second day we stopped by some like Berber house. Berber is like the name of the ethnic group um, that originally lived in Morocco. And they gave us some tea, and it was really like a carpet shop. And the guy he in the carpet shop he showed us his carpets, and he explained a lot about the carpets to us. And it was very educational and interesting. But on the other hand, it's also a bit of like a sales tactic in a way. You kind of get led into this carpet shop. Maybe you buy something, and I'm sure like that's part of the deal. Is like these tour operators, they make agreements with um, these carpet shop owners or something. So I would imagine that if a tourist were to buy a carpet, I think the tour operator would get a cut also, maybe like 5% or something. But there's like it's not like high pressure you have to buy, so it's kind of okay. So anyway, towards the end of day two, you finally make it to the desert, and you'll see like these big ass sand dunes, and then they'll take you to this area where there are a bunch of camels. Well, not really camels. It's like the one-humped camels, so they're not really called camels. They have another name. It starts with an A, I think, but let's just call them camels because I don't know what they're really called. But yeah, I mean, so there are a bunch of camels, and they're all kind of like sitting down there, waiting, and they shit a lot. So there's like camel shit everywhere, and when they get up, they start walking, they shit a lot while they're walking, and they pee while they're walking too, and it's kind of funny. And the shit kind of looks like these little black pebbles, and then along the entire route, there's just like dried camel shit all along the route. So you know where the route is. You just follow the shit, and then you get to the desert camp. That's how they pave the road, with like their camel shit. But in this part, they actually separated us into two groups because some of the people on the tour paid for the luxury desert camp, and they paid about $200 per person or something. And then for my group, because I'm a cheap ass, I paid about $100 for my tour. And some of the other people in my group paid like 120. I think they paid a little more because they got it from online, whereas I booked my tour through my hostel owner, and I was able to pay $100. But anyway, I've heard some other hostels offer a tour for $80, but I don't know if it's like different or the same. Let me explain about some of the differences between these two camps. So in the luxury desert camp, you had Wi-Fi. In our camp, we didn't have Wi-Fi. In the luxury desert camp, you had your own tent, and inside your own tent, you had your own bathroom and your own private bathroom and your own private shower. In our desert camp, we had in our tent we just had the bed, and to use the bathroom or the shower, we had to walk outside of our tent, a short distance, but we had like these communal bathrooms and showers. So that's another big difference. I think the food was mostly the same, um, and we also everything else kind of seemed mostly the same. So I don't know if it's worth paying an extra $80 to $100. And the Wi-Fi wasn't that good either, I heard. But some people they want more comfort in their life, so they're willing to pay more for that. I think their beds were nicer. they had like tables in their room, and in my room I didn't really have a table. I had my bed and a chair, and blankets and pillows, and that was it. But I'm pretty bare bones and I'm pretty cheap, so it's good for me. But you decide for yourself. So anyway, we got separated into two groups, and you're riding the camel, and it's kind of uncomfortable. It kind of hurts your legs a bit. In the middle of the journey, you guys stop at the top of like a sand dune, and the guy has like a snowboard, and basically everybody takes turns, sandboarding, and it's kind of cool. You get sand in your shoes, but it's not a big deal. It's better than water. And then after that, we got back on the camels, and we went to our desert camp, the normal one, not the luxury one. And it was pretty cool. It was all lit with lanterns, Moroccan style lanterns, which looked pretty cool. And then they gave us some tea and some cookies, and then they said, oh, dinner's at 8 o'clock. So we all used the bathroom and waited a little bit, and then we got dinner. The dinner was pretty good. It was like more tagine, with like chicken, potatoes, and whatnot. I think we had some soup as an appetizer, and they gave us some fruit at the end. After dinner, they lit a fire in the center of the camp, and they played some music, and we were all kind of like dancing around the fire a little bit. So yeah, and then after that, it was kind of over. But when you looked up, you could see a lot of stars. That was really cool. So this was around like maybe like 9 p.m. on day 2, and you could look up, you could see like hundreds of stars, and that was pretty cool. But then the next morning, when I woke up around 6 something, I went out, there were even more stars. There were like thousands of stars that you could see, and that was amazing. I think for me, that was the best part of the trip. It was just seeing thousands of stars in the sky, and at that moment I was thinking like, damn, I wish I became an astronomer. This is so cool. And I just realized like those stars are always there, but you just can't see them normally. But like in the desert, you can see them, and it's just super cool. So day 3, you wake up, you have breakfast. They said, I think it was 6:50. If you wanted to take a shower, you probably should have taken it beforehand, but it's pretty cold at this time, and in our desert camp, we didn't have the showers in our tent. You had to walk outside for a little bit. So I didn't shower, although I did wash my feet. But even then, it was like pretty cold to walk back to my tent. So anyway, day 3, we have breakfast, and it was just like, simple Moroccan breakfast. You get some like bread and cheese and juice. They also had some eggs. I heard in the luxury desert camp they had yogurt, and in our camp we didn't have yogurt. But that's fine. Now after we ate, we got on the camels again, and we got out of the desert camp, and it was like another 30-minute ride. But this time it was a little different because it was super, super cold. Like this was like one of those moments where I wish I brought gloves, because when you're on the camel, you kind of have to like hold the handles, because it's like a little bit it's a little bit rocky on the camel, and it's super windy and super cold, and it's early in the morning and the sun's not up yet. So we were all suffering during this time. But yeah, so we're on the camels. We stop in the middle for the sunrise, and that was pretty cool. And when the sun rises, you kind of see like the desert changes color. It's like, when the sun hits it, it changes color. And the other thing too is like when the sun rises, you get to see the shadows of the caravan and the shadows on the sand, and that's pretty cool too. It's like a Kodak moment for you. It's like picture perfect, Anyway, so we're on the camels going back, and then we end up back in the van, and this is day 3. And then day 3 is pretty much, it's like you spend pretty much all day in the van because it's a straight drive back to Marrakech. You stop a couple times to use the bathroom and to eat lunch, and that's about it, really. And then when you get back, he drops you off near your hotel, and you just go home. So yeah, for me, I was pretty satisfied with this trip. I would give it like 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was a pretty cool experience for me. I think the best part was seeing like all those stars at night, and the second best part was I think probably the camel ride. That was pretty cool. So yeah, I highly recommend this trip to anybody who's coming to Marrakesh. There are a lot of tours out there. The tour that I did, I got through my hostel owner, but the people who booked online said they just found like the tour online that was about $100 something for 3 days, and it had like the most reviews. So if you're looking for a tour, I would recommend that one. There are more expensive tours and there are cheaper tours too, and but definitely I recommend this to anybody coming to Marrakesh. It was an extremely memorable experience.